and into Act Two. A major theme, idea, way to view Hamlet is a wheel, as a wheel turning. And we have seen the last couple scenes where, with the ghost and Hamlet, where the wheels are in motion. All right, so we're in Act Two. Here's a synopsis overall of Act Two. Hamlet's emotional turmoil over his father's murder has left him in a visibly agitated condition, which some members of the court have interpreted as madness. Remember now, Hamlet's just acting, and he tells his friends that, don't tell anybody. He's kind of putting this on. Claudius and Gertrude, concerned for his welfare, summoned two of Hamlet's oldest friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, in the hopes that they can learn what is troubling him. Act 2, Scene 2. Hamlet is immediately skeptical about their surprise visit. There's a great play by the famous British playwright Tom Stoppard, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who centers around those characters. Anyway, anxious to confirm his own suspicions regarding the source of Hamlet's trouble, Polonius arranges a meeting between Ophelia and Hamlet, as he is convinced that Hamlet's love for Ophelia is the cause of his suffering. Remember all that stuff we said about Polonius, all that great fatherly advice, but he's kind of blind and dense in and of himself. When Polonius approaches Hamlet, Hamlet answers his questions, although he believes Polonius to be a foolish old man. When a group of players arrives at the Danish court to entertain, Hamlet arranges for them to perform The Murder of Gonzago with the addition of lines Hamlet has written. What Hamlet hopes is to prove Claudius's guilt in the murder by watching his reaction to the drama the players will stage. That's the famous play within the play called The Mousetrap. Alright, and here's a little synopsis of Scene 1 in Act 2. Polonius sends his servant Rinaldo to Paris to question Laertes' acquaintances. Ophelia enters, deeply disturbed about a visit she has just had from an apparently mad Hamlet. Polonius decides that Hamlet has been made insane by Ophelia's refusing to see him. Polonius rushes off to tell the king. Polonius. Give him the money in these notes, Rinaldo. I will, my lord. You shall do marvelously, wisely, good Rinaldo, before you visit him to make inquire of his behavior. My lord, I did intend it. Very well said. Look you, sir. Inquire me first what danksters are in Paris, what Danes, and how and who, what means, and where they keep, where they dwell. What Danes are in Paris and where they dwell. What company and what expense, finding by this encompassment, the circling and drift of question that they do know, my son. Come you more nearer than your particular demands will touch it. Take you as 'twere some distant knowledge of him, as thus, I know his father and his friends, and impart him. Do you mark this, Rinaldo? Aye, very well, my lord. And impart him, but, you may say, not well. But if be he, I mean, he's very wild, addicted so, and there put on him what forgeries, inventions you please. Marry none so rank as may dishonor him. Take heed of that. But, sir, such wanton, wild, and unusual usual slips, as our companions noted, and most known to youth and liberty, as gaming, my lord. Aye, or drinking, fencing, swearing, quarreling, drabbings, wenching. You may go so far, my lord, that would dishonor him. Faith knows you may season it in charge. You must not put another scandal on him that he is open to incontinency. And incontinency here is mean habitual licenses is sleeping around. This is kind of whoring around. That's not my meaning, but breathe his faults so quaintly that they may seem the taints of liberty, the flash and outbreak of a fiery mind, a savageness in unreclaimed blood of general assault. But, my good lord, wherefore should you do this? I, my lord, I would know that. Marry, sir, here's my drift, and I believe it is a fetch of warrant. You laying these sight slowlies on my son as 'twere a thing a little soiled a working, mark you. You party and converse. Him you would sound, having ever seen in predominant crimes. The youth you breathe of guilty, he assured, he closes with you in this consequence, good sir, or so a friend, or gentleman, according to the phrase of the edition, of Man and Country, the title. So we have Polonius telling Ronaldo to keep a watch out here. All right, and then we see here a little plotting going on too. There's some plotting. This isn't really important. Very good, my lord. And then Sir does a this. What was I about to say? By the mass, I was about to say something. Where did I leave? This is Polonius kind of jumbling around here. At closes in the consequence. At friend or so, gentlemen. And this is an important moment, what Polonius is saying here. At closes in the consequence. I, Mary, he closes thus. I know the gentleman. I saw him yesterday or the other day. Or then, with such or such, and as you say, there was a gaming there, overtooken's ruse. They're falling out at tennis, or perchance I saw him enter such a house of sale. Vitalect, namely, a brothel or so forth. See you now, your bait of falsehood takes this carp of truth. That's an important line there. Your bait of falsehood takes this carp of truth. Polonius is plotting. And thus we of wisdom and of reach with windlasses and with essays of bias. By indirections find directions out. So by my former lecture and advice, shall you, my son, you have me, have you not? My lord, I have. Goodbye, ye, fare ye well. Good, my lord. Observe his inclination in yourself. So we have Polonius talking to Ronaldo here. Ronaldo, I shall, my lord, and let him ply his music. Well, my lord, farewell. Enter Ophelia. Here's Ophelia now. And I'm fascinated. Ophelia is such a important point in this play, and I'm fascinated with Hamlet's treatment of Ophelia and how that kind of plays out. And we get Hamlet feigning madness here from what Ophelia is telling her father. How now, Ophelia, what's the matter? Oh, my lord, I have been so affrighted. Ophelia is visibly upset. With what, in the name of God? My lord, as I was sewing in my closet, her room, Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all unbraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings fouled, ungartered and down-gived, hanging down like fetters. So Hamlet comes in all disheveled. His clothes are all disheveled, all messed up to his ankle, pale as his shirt, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous in expression, Hamlet with just this pained expression on his face, as if he had been loosed out of hell. To speak of horrors, he comes before me. Mad for thy love? And this also shows Polonius, remember denying to himself. He has all those great sayings. But Polonius, he thinks Hamlet's upset about Ophelia. When Hamlet is really upset about all the stuff going on that behind, Claudius, Gertrude, his father, King Hamlet, and Polonius is really too dense to see all that, right? Mad for thy love? My lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it. What said he? He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then goes he to the length of all his arm, and with his other hand thus o'er his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face, as a would draw it. Long stayed he so, at last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound, as it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. That done, he lets me go. And with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find his way without his eyes. What's Hamlet doing here? What's Hamlet? He's like, he's feigning madness. He's also looking for something in Ophelia. Much has been said about Hamlet's poor and horrible treatment of Ophelia, right? He treats her pretty horribly. But Hamlet, think about this as well, though. Hamlet, if he confides in her truly what's going on, right? Ophelia is in jeopardy too. Ophelia, if Hamlet tells Ophelia, I saw my dad, the ghost told me Claudius murdered him, Ophelia's culpable. She's in danger. So Hamlet's treating her horribly, and but also, I would argue, by not letting on what he truly knows. He thinks to his mind, he's keeping her out of danger. So, it's this complicated double bind here. For out of doors he went without their helps, and to the last bended their light on me. Come go with me, I will seek the king. Because obviously Ophelia loves her father and confides her into her father Polonius everything. And what Polonius does is run right away. I will seek and tell the king everything. So back to, if Hamlet were to tell Ophelia everything, Ophelia were to tell Polonius, Polonius were to tell the king, it would be over, right? Everything would be out. Come go with me, I will go seek the king to this very ecstasy of love, whose violent property foredoes, quality destroys itself, and leads the will to desperate undertakings, as oft as any passion under heaven that does afflict our nature. I am sorry. What, have you given him any hard words of late? Have you been mean to Hamlet of late? No, my good lord, but as you did command, I did repel his letters and denied his access to me. So Ophelia took her father's advice and kind of gave Hamlet the cold shoulder a little bit. And, maybe this did upset Hamlet a little bit. But I'm sticking with what I'm saying about Hamlet and Ophelia. I think Hamlet, despite his indecision, I wouldn't call it cowardness, but just his inability to act, he's a smart dude. Polonius, that hath made him mad. That's what he's mad about. Brilliant Polonius, right? That's made him mad. I'm sorry that with better heed and judgment I had not quoted him. I feared he did but trifle, and meant to rack thee, but beshrew my jealousy. By heaven, it is as proper to our age to cast beyond ourselves in our opinion, as it is common for the younger sort to lack discretion. Come, go we to the king. This must be known. So anything Polonius finds out, he runs and tells the king. Think about this. For all that great Polonius advice, to thine own self be true, Polonius seemed concerned with power and telling the king every little thing, right? This must be known, which being kept close might move more grief to hide than hate to utter love come. Yeah, and this, we get Hamlet's feigning madness, and how, how that's affecting Ophelia, but we also see Polonius running to tell the king, and we get, in Act 2, Scene 2, we get our third soliloquy, how we theme the class, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I, and we will get to that next.